Corruption and idiots against Al-Ali and perverts against Al-Rizella. Those scenes keep recurring regularly. If the environment is corrupted, a person must protect his mind from corruption and start in Minya today. The paste of a retired army officer who participated in many wars and lives in a bad psychological state from the effects of the pills in which all my friends died next to live desperate to the point that he was playing Russian roulette with himself, a game of fatal luck. He put a bullet in the cylinder of the pistol and its author and pulled the trigger, and if he had bad luck, he died until I played it with 2 bullets. But he was lucky and then went to the supermarket to buy a college project that he was addicted to, and when he entered the market as a robbery, 2 armed men attacked the place and asked all the people to come down to the ground. But John was standing completely marinated without the blood of one of them inventions. He takes his mind. Whoever asks him to go down to the ground has changed in El Guna. He tells him if he presses the button, the armed person is surprised by John's action and his beginning. To some extent, John hates me. You have the gun, and they hit it with it. The fight and peace returns, and here is the owner of the market, and he takes the drink and walks and comes back to my sister, and she was intolerant because he was supposed to go to get her from the airport, but he forgot the time of the plane that she comes home alone, and John apologizes to her. But she writes her anger and hugs him because they have a lot left. Lunch, and he sits talking to her and reassures her, and when he grabs the note for her with it for him from him, she tells him that her whole life is in the soldier. So he tells her that he admires her chain and asks her about a day's trip to the slums in Brazil to see her helping them how. And the second day she wakes up to my age, she finds John sleeping at 7 in his 7th sleep. She says goodbye to take her bag in order to travel in the slum neighborhood in Rio de Janeiro. The drug trade and contraband is rampant even in the presence of the police, and here is the policewoman, Catherine. How is a little girl, you call her and you run after her until you reach me where the people from your group are. There is an unconscious girl on the rocks on the sea. This girl was my Cindy. My sister Katrina ran over her and reported the accident. Cindy was taken to the hospital, and in the American embassy, Brazil received the military advisor, Mani, a close friend. The officer, Joe, is a partner, and he had from the city police to present him with a case of a Sunni. But when Mani saw the picture attached to the file, he was shocked when he met his friend's sister, Sunny, and knew that she was still in the intensive care unit. And they go to the hospital to be very reassuring about her. When he saw her condition in a coma and in intensive care, the officer arrives. He says the hospital and delivers it to Google. He tells him that he is responsible for the case. They ask Jung if he received any evidence from them, but God says that he is still working on the case and investigates. He asks me to go down. The place has a strong tooth. He goes out to the nurse who was there, but she disappeared, and a second nurse came to follow me. And when John asked her about Asian resources, she told him that there was nothing nurses, boys, in the hospital is final, and the doctor delivers. He can save me with difficulty. He asks next to him for this, who does not appoint a guard officer for my age until they know who is trying. And John goes to the second day for me, the same place where the police met me, and we see there is the same young man who saw him before. So he repeatedly goes and asks about the incident, but if he met this young man in their place, he would go in behind him and ask about his sister. Strong. He noticed that the tea was made with milk. He assaults him and his friends as much as when Katrina in the middle said to her a fish and my age gave him this chain as a gift. Where was she working with Maria's sister? But it was 3 days ago and the cookie came out Sura fermentation. You moldy. This is John and they take a planet after that. The house and he bids your notes the second and he says the paper was the one who had someone cut it and took it. And when I tried to go back to him, he told him, leave it with you. I don't know. Use the carbons of bills and checks for the place. Walk on the other side. A paper in a second diary appears. The number of the word will appear. Call them. Tahina, a photographer. He tells him about what happened to me, and he knows that I forgot I made him pictures a meeting of her with a person. And the photographer was clearly worried and afraid. And he said to him, and he noticed that many children were disappearing from the city, and that a week ago she called him and asked that pictures of her meeting in secret with someone who would show all the facts, and when he shipped, He asked to see the pictures he took of her. They said that they were not with me. But Hader steals a memory card from him before he walks, and when the photographer will ride his car, the first one that explodes with it. What is the injustice of a group that thinks of memories and days of war and bombings, civilian places and eating innocent people, and here in a sick month who saw her in the hospital? But the first thing I saw, I rode a car and ran away from it, and after I didn't get my phone back. I didn't put the pictures from the sperm. He didn't see the person who had met him and could know the place, and he was from there, and when the gratitude reached his name, why didn't he work in the same place they see John in the bathroom? Then he goes in and sees him and assaults him until he knows all the information he needs and knows that when he is smuggled and how much he agrees with Mel on a new deal. But Sonny was watching and the client saw the building that I get rid of it from the photographer who is with her, and John tells me that he said his address. He takes his bag from him, there are papers related to the smuggling business, and he will walk away from the place, and the same officer, Jubilo, has orders to carry out an intensive campaign to arrest all drug dealers and criminals in the city. And this is because of the Sandy case, which has become a public opinion issue. Go to the address that took the blame, and here he gets to know Maria, Coca's sister, who was Katrina. She told him that she had been killed, and when the gang tried to attack John to kill, John could kill him and go to the tree. The girls' festival in the girls' detention there and locked them up. Sarah came to the officer a colleague's post asking for support for the activity as suspicious from an Asian month. We really go there, and the policeman who reached the gate during the mission was killed by drug dealers, or the mother of the gang members, who killed the entrances and exits, and the arrest of our face shows his death. The head of the gang who manages all the activities collected in the city and kills Malango. Take the bag from him. Joe, he asks me to get rid of John. But I see him trying to get anything in his place. How many white gang members have happened? And there was shooting or not, I was too short. I mean, it would be a verb phrase. Click on the gang members who are trying. And I told him to deliver Joker to the brooms. And he told her that he saw Marie, Coca's sister, that they needed her in a store on the ground floor. And John took them to show them the store where the girls were. But they were a completely empty house. So I didn't understand the contents of the bag. What was a forged shipping papers of goods, and here is a crown. They say that he will take a bag for him to investigate the papers in it and ask many to reach John, connect the events to each other. So I am sure that you, Mora, are pleased with the request of Katrina that she goes to the hospital quickly. Check on your sister, and he will come again to the place at the same time. The camouflage was camouflaged. I arrived at the hospital when Cindy San separated the devices from her and killed her. But Katrina shot her. Joker, if he had told me a bag. The first was a factory that owns, and he is the head of the gang. And their plan was to hand over the papers, and in return they take a large amount. But he was hiding in his Arabic bag, and Daddy too, Joe Joker. John can beat them completely because of his military experience. Abu, while he's dying, calling him to mention the key to his office safe and telling him you will find the names of all those involved with gangs, including officers, lawyers, men of the state, and you can act and ask him to kill him and have mercy on him. But John refused to wither a gun and walk the lollipop of mercy for you to use them in unethical actions. The police want all the gang members inside the hospital, and after he disappeared for a moment, the doctor tells him that I am the owner of her, and that the recovery process is very slow and may extend for years. The state takes care of his sister's treatment, because it will cost John and his replacement the first case file in the name of Felfal, and that's why our film ends today.